Good morning, students. Today I will start with the control structures used in PHP language. The one such statement here is that is if statement that you are already familiar with such type of constructions, that is control structures used in C and C++ and also in Java. You are already familiar with the flow of execution in computer programming. There are actually three types. One is sequential execution, branching or selective execution. Next one is iteration or looping of statements. For selection of statements, we will use if statement. In almost all programming languages, there will be if statement in some styles, and in PHP we will use if statement in three formats. Here is two styles, two type of syntax for if else if statement, that is already familiar. We already used same type in C and Java also. In the initial one, we will give one boolean expression with the if statement, and if that expression evaluates to true, then the statements or statement block will executed. So if this the expression evaluates to false, these statements are not executed, then the control of execution transfer to next statement, that is after the if statement block. Second one is I will choose one of the two blocks for execution depending on the expression evaluation. Here I will provide one boolean expression with the if statement. If this expression is evaluated to true condition or true value, then the first block will executed. If the expression evaluates to false, then the group of statements are single statement enclosed between a pair of braces, that is after else keyword will be selected for execution. So either this one or this statement group will executed. The third one is else if. We already used nested if else in C language, but here is little bit change. The reason is that else if word is a single word. It's not a combination of two. It is a single word, so there is no gap between the words else and if. So the execution of the this statement is very simple. If the given expression in the first if evaluates to true, then this statement will execute and rest of the statement block are ignored. If this expression is evaluated to false, then it goes to next if else, and there will be again one expression. If this expression, that is else if expression, evaluates to true, then the second block will executed. Again, if this expression evaluates to false, then the next part will selected, and again if there is else if, then there will be expression. If there is no expression, then it will be only else part. So in this chain of if else statements, if any one of the statement or boolean expression is evaluated to true, then the immediate following statement will executed, and rest of the document statements are ignored. We will go for a small example. Here is a PHP statement. So I give one PHP statement block. Here is some example lines here also and here also. Assuming that $day is a variable, it has some value. If the $d is a variable, that is day, so dollar is a common symbol in the PHP variables. So if $day is equal to Saturday, or so observe here it is logical or operator, or it is equal to Sunday, then I will store a string weekend in the variable today. Else, if any one of the variable, that is expression, evaluates to false, then I will store in the variable today as weekday and work is true. So the execution of this statement or this group of statement depends on this boolean expression. Switch case statement you studied in C and also used in Java language. Here is almost same in PHP also with a little bit difference. Here in the syntax switch, I'll give one expression which evaluates a value, and if that value equals to label 1, then code to be executed, this block will be executed, then break. Likewise label 2, label 3, likewise any number of label we can utilize, and if the given expression does not equals to any of the case label, then it goes to default. And last block need not to have break statement. Here in the example, I have taken a variable that is border size, and if the border size value is evaluates to 0, observe that it's a string. In C language, it must and should be an integer value or a character value, but in PHP, it can be a string also. So, if the border value is specified as 0, then I will generate that HTML table tag like this, that is print. That means print means it not sent to browser monitor, it is sent to the browser. Break. If the border size is specified as 1, then the control of execution shifted to this block, and here is I will specify the variable, the content that is to be sent as the browser, that is table border equals 1. Likewise for case 4, case 8. And if the border size does not equals to 0 or 1 or 4 or 8, then it goes to default block. Then here is one message. So this is depending on your logic, how you are utilizing it in your coding. Loop statement. So while loop, you already know, you are familiar within the C language. Here is in the while, there will be a boolean expression. If the boolean expression is true, then code to be executed, that's a list of statement will be executed. Once, then again goes to the beginning of the loop and expression is checked, and if it is true, again loop is continued if the expression is true. If the loop expression comes to false value, then the loop execution will be terminated. Similarly, do while. The difference between while and do while is that in the while expression, so while loop expression is evaluated first, whereas in the do while one round of execution is done, then expression is evaluated. So this is pre-condition loop, this is post-condition loop. Example here is we are using the same logic, that is to calculate the factorial. If I am using the while loop, then I will use like this. So initialize the value of fact is equal to 1 and I is equal to 1 and $I less than equal to n, and multiplication you already know, and I am incrementing the value of I. If there is no incrementing of the value of I, so I value will be stable and n value is also constant, so this condition is always true, so the while become infinite loop, so we have to avoid it. So here is the example for while loop. Same logic, that is to find the factorial of given variable. So I am using $n, assuming that n has already has some information. Here the loop condition is given at the beginning of the loop, and whereas here it is at the end of the loop. So multiplication is done first, value of I is incremented first, then condition checking, that is Boolean expression evaluation, and after the loop it displays the value stored in fact. For loop, same as that of the C language. There will be initializing expression, continuation expression, and terminating expression. So expression 1 is the initializing expression, expression 2 that is terminating, and expression 3 is continuation expression. Expression 1 usually assignment statement, and expression 3 is the continuation logic. So how the variable to be, that is the counter variables incremented or decremented, and here is the expression 3 in between. So this will be the Boolean expression which decides whether the for loop should be continued or not. Example as again taken for the factorial. Fact is equal to 1, I is increment assigned with the value 1 initially, and I is incremented by 1 in each iteration, and the condition to be checked here is in between, so that is $i less than or equal to $n, and the statement that will be executed here is $fact star equals $i. After the loop, that means when the value of I becomes more than the value of $n, loop terminates, and here the next statement code of, that is code execution transferred to next statement. Here is the one that is new for you, that is for each loop. Observe that for each is a single word. So for each, here is a group of elements or list of elements, usually it is an array. One element from the group of element is taken as value. So that is for each element from array as element value or any other variable. So that dollar value is taken inside the loop. So dollar array is a group of elements. So you will be understand much better by the example. Look at this. Here is an array is created by using an array function. So array function is not yet covered. Just read this. I will explain much better in the next coming slides. Array is a function which is used to create array in PHP. So it contains 4 elements, that is red, green, blue and yellow. These are all strings and stored in the variable colors. So from this we can infer that colors is an array of strings and there will be 4 elements. In this for each loop, I will pick one element from the colors array and I will use it as $x. So in the first iteration, it may take the element red. Let us assume that red will come as the first element. Then for each dollar colors as $x, then x will be red and echo $x. So that means in place of $x, it will display red. So in the next iteration, it goes to the next element, next available element in the color array. So whichever the element made available as second element, that is extracted and displayed like this. So this process continued until all the elements are extracted in the array. After that, it terminates its execution and continuation of flow of execution goes to next statement. Break and continue. So you already know break is used to terminate the execution of the loop constructs, that is for each, while and do while. So usually the break statement is linked with if statement. Continue as again in the break statement, it is again continue linked with a Boolean expression, that is if statement, and this statement is used to skip the remainder of the current iteration but continue the execution at the beginning of the text. So rest of the statements are ignored and control of execution jump to beginning of the loop. Arrays in PHP are highly versatile than the arrays in C language or any other language. So it is combination of arrays of typical languages, that is arrays of typical, that is C and C++, with the additional features, that is associative arrays or hashes. In theory, we will use the word hashing or hashes. So associative array means here is, instead of numbers, we will use strings as the keys. So in each array, the element consists of two parts. One is a key and a value. The key is indexed in normal arrays that we have used in C and other languages. But here is, we will use the word key, and the key can be a index value. If the array has a logical structure that is similar to an array in C, then keys are non-negative integers. So it's very important, and always in ascending order. So it may begin from 0 also, and it's an integer as always positive, that is either 0 or 1 or higher values, and always arranged in ascending order. If the array has a logical structure that is similar to hash, then its keys are strings. It need not be number, it can be strings also. And if the array is a hash type, then the ordering of elements is determined by the operating system or its related libraries. And also, arrays can have integer keys and also with string keys. And the type of elements can be mixed in the arrays also. So just like in C, we don't have any integer array restricted to only integer value. We can have an array of integer, floats and also strings in one array. Here is the example. If no array is declared $list already, then I can create like this. That means straight away you start assigning by specifying the index, that is key. Here I will use the word key. So the 0th element in the array list is 17. The first, that is 1th element in the list is here is a string value, and the third element in the array list here is 42. Observe that I have two types of elements. Two are integer values and one is string values. And in most of the cases in PHP, we will use array function. It's a built-in function in PHP which is used to create arrays. Here is one example. I'm creating an array of values, and $list is an array and it contains 4 elements. 0th element is 17, 1st element is 24, 2nd element here is 45, and 3rd element here is 91. That is 0 based array index is also used in PHP. So arrays can also be used to create such type of array. But PHP's main strength in a list of values here is that supporting the hash based informations. Observe that here is, I'm using values as keys. Series, it is 1. It need not be 0. It can be any non-zero, non-negative strings, non-negative values, and also we can use key numbers as keys. See in this list 1 is used as a key for 17, 2 is used as key for 24, 3 is used for 42, likewise 4 is the key for 91. You know, if the elements are not provided in array function, it creates an empty array. And here is the actual example for hash based information. Here is keys are like this. These three are keys and there are strings. here is ages, and there are three elements, key value. So Joey is here is key, and related value, that is here is 42. Likewise, Mary is the key and its related value here is 41. And Biff is the key and its related value here is 17. We can access array elements. If it is similar type, simple type of array, then we can go for subscripting just like in other languages. Usually it is in brackets. The value in the subscript that is enclosed in brackets is the key of the values, and if it's a normal arrays, it will be numbers, that is index. And even if it is a hash type of keys, hash type of arrays, we will use the same bracket even though its key is a string. So for example, here is, if you want to assign a value for a variable with the key student in the array ages with the value is 29, so we can write the statement like this. Observe, here is $ages is a hash based array, that is associative array. The key used here is student, it's string type, and for this student key value is assigned here is 29. It need not be 29, it can be string also. So you can assign any value to the key student. These are the some function used in PHP. Unset, that is to remove all the element or one of the element in from the arrays. So here the example given. So if I not using any keys or index, then the all the elements will be removed. Or if specifically specified an element by specifying the keys, then only that element will be removed. Array hyphen keys returns list of keys as a separate array. The example is given. Array hyphen values returns list of values in the array as a separate array. So if there is an hash arrays or associative array, we can create two separate arrays from this one existing one, that is array of keys and array of values. On some problem solving logics, we need to use, that means we have to separate the keys and values as separate entities. Then we have to use these two arrays, these two functions. We can check whether a particular key exists or not. So the function array hyphen underscore key underscore exist is used. Say for example, here is I am checking whether the key, it's not the value, it is key total exists in the array or not. If it exists, then I will get the value, that is key found. Is array to check whether the given variable name exists, is an array or not, that is object. I want to check whether the $student is an array or not. So if it is true, that means if the $student is an array, then this function will return true value. And size of, that is returns number of elements. Number of elements, that is number of elements in the array, or number of key value pairs. And here is explode, that is used to split the given strings based on tokens. By default it will be space white space character. For example, here is a computer, is a fast electronic device, then this string will be splitted into different words as an array and stored in the specified variable. For example, here it is $str. So $str will be the array contains computer as one word, then is, a, then fast, finally so the device. That means 1 2 3 4 5 6, there will be 6 words in the array words. Sorry, not the str. SQL str is the single string. It is the string is splitted and words will be the array that contains 6 words. Implode, that is reverse of explode function. It concatenates elements of string array as a single string. In this case, I have created an array that is computer science department that is stored as an array in $str. I am using white space as the joining character between the words. So one space I have provided, then from the array str, then dbt will contains one string that containing the characters, that is computer science department separated by spaces. Current returns the current element in the array. Next moves the pointer, that is array internal pointer, to next element and returns the output. Then end moves to the end point, and previous moves the internal to the previous and outputs the previous element. Reset, that is shift the current internal pointer to beginning of the array. And each, this is similar to next element, but one difference here is in the next element returns the value, whereas each function returns key and value. Here is example. First example, I am creating an array that is Kumta, Ankola, Honavar, Bhatkar, and here is the cities, and I will take the current element from using current function. It returns the first element. So by default, when I create an array, there will be no internal pointer that is pointing to the first element. So that is displayed. So sorry, that is returned, and print city, that is sent to the browser. Now I will use while loop. Here next function will return the current element, so moves to next pointer, and that value is returned. So in this statement I will get the word Kumta, and in the loop I will get the rest of the array, that is Ankola, Honavar, and Bhatkar. So city is containing the returning value of the next statement, next function, and that variable is displayed. If the next function reaches the end of the array, that means there is no further elements, then it returns a false. Now while we'll check the value, if it is not false, its value is processed, otherwise loop execution is terminated. That means if $cd contains false, then while loop will terminate. Now in this example, I will go for associative array series. There are 3 key value pairs. One is Mike, its associated value is 42,500. Then Jerry, its associated value is 51,250. Then Fred, its associated value is 37,920. So salaries is a associative array. See, now I am using each now. So each function returns an element as a key value pair. So from the salaries, it returns one element, and that is assigned to employee. In this variable, I will use the predefined keywords, that is key. So employee key returns the related key value that is stored in name. Actually all the keys are here is name of the persons. So I will store the name in this one. Likewise employee value, that is value of the key, that is in the stored in the variable employee, assigned to print salary. Next is print statement. Here is a string, the salary of $name. In this place the name is displayed. So for example, it will be Mike for the first element, and in this place the salary, 42,500 will be displayed. The loop continues until it reaches end of the array. After the end of the array is reached, then the each function will return false. So when the employee contains false value, loop execution terminates. Here is the array functions for sortings. Sort, as the name specifies, it sorts arrays in ascending order, and ascending order is based on the values. So this is very important. So even though if it is an array, associative array, it does not check the keys, it will check the values and they are sorted. And here is R sort, that is descending order based on the value of elements. And here is the one specially designed for associative arrays. A sort associative arrays in ascending order according to the values. That means if the values are numbers, they are arranged in ascending order, and if they are strings, that is characters, then according to their ASCII values they are kept in ascending order. If there is combination of both, then characters will come, that is strings will come first, then numbers will come next. K sort, it is according to key. That means a sorting of associative arrays in ascending order according to key. So A sort, it is according to values, K sort is according to keys. And opposite to these functions, that is AR sort and KR sort. In AR sort, that is associative array in descending order according to the value, and KR sort, that is sorting the associative array in descending order according to key value.